speaking of significant, you now have a new warning, dire warning, from an AI leader. We can put this up on the screen. This is an interview from Axios. Behind the curtain, the headline is, a white-collar bloodbath. Let me go ahead and read you a little bit of this report because it is quite specific and quite chilling. So Dario Amodei, who is the CEO of Anthropic, which is one of the most powerful creators, they say, of AI, and I think that's accurate, has a blunt and scary warning for the US government and all of us. AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years. He said AI companies and governments need to stop sugarcoating what is coming, the possible mass elimination of jobs across tech, finance, law, consulting, and other white-collar professions, especially entry-level gigs. Now, this is someone, Ryan, who is very enthusiastic about AI development. He is a tech optimist. He is, pushing the envelope on what is possible here. He wants to effectuate this outcome. But he also says in here, he is intelligent enough to realize that if you just create a situation of mass unemployment over the course of 1 to 5 years, you're going to have significant societal blowback that really impacts his and others' abilities to be the first trillionaires and do the thing that they want to do. So he even suggests in here, a tax, effectively transaction tax, that would be paid by these companies that would be put into some sort of government fund to be redistributed to the population. That's his idea of how to change the social contract. But I mean, we really are talking about, it's here. This isn't 10 years, 20 years down the road. It is here. And there is zero political conversation or debate happening about how you're going to reckon with this fallout. And when I say it's here, let me give you the examples that he gives in this piece. You already had Microsoft laying off 6,000 workers, Walmart cutting 1,500 corporate jobs in anticipation of AI being able to do the job of those workers. CrowdStrike, a Texas-based cybersecurity company, slashed 500 jobs or 5% of its workforce, citing, quote, a market and technology inflection point.
Is that the DNC one?
Is it?
No, go ahead.
Look it up. With AI reshaping every industry. I don't think so, but double check. Meta announced plans to shrink their workforce by 5% shortly after.
Yes, yeah.
It is?
They're the ones that worked with the DNC on the Russia hack stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, in any case, they're cutting back.
Yes.
Maybe a good thing. Yes. Zuckerberg, after he went on with Rogan and made some claims about AI is going to automate a bunch of the workforce, they went ahead at Meta and announced plans to shrink their workforce by 5%. So you already have companies that are shrinking their workforce and not bringing on new people in anticipation of what these AI, they call them agents, are able to do. I mean, the idea of the AI agent is basically can function as a human being. At the same time, you've got college unemployment, college grads who come out into the workforce, unemployment at 30%. So significant spikes there. You see more and more college grads let me just go to law school because this isn't looking too great. Now that could be a recession indicator, that may be part of it. But I think it also is an indication that there is just, for these entry-level jobs where you're a spreadsheet jockey or you're, coming out of law school and your first-year law associate, they are already seeing AI start to bite and start to cut into those first-year jobs. And so, the promise that has been made in the neoliberal era of take on all this college debt, but we promise at the end of the road, it's going to pay off. You're going to be able to get on that career ladder to some sort of, middle class or upper middle class prosperity if you follow the rules and you do all your, all your homework and you get a good SAT score and you do all the things. That promise is already coming unglued in the very early days of this AI revolution.
Yeah. And one of the checks on the tech industry, according to Cory Doctorow in this really interesting lecture he gave, he's the guy that kind of developed the idea of enshittification, where the tech companies have gradually over the last several years deliberately made things worse.
Yeah.
One of the checks on them has always been their workforce, which is
that's interesting.
Which is motivated by the Google idea of we're not going to do evil, and that they're going to work really hard to make cool products, but when they're assigned to make the product worse, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. Give me a cool project. With all of this pressure from AI, the tech workforce now has lost their leverage. They used to be the workforce that had the most leverage because there were not enough people to be able to do the engineering and software
this
work.
valuable skill set. Yeah.
But now with all of these layoffs and all of them facing extremely uncertain futures, when they're like, okay, hey, can you make Google work worse so that like people have to do multiple, like how do you get people to do more searches? You make search less effective.
Right.
And you give people crap when they search because they're locked into Google already. So now you have to search 5 times, where in the past you would do one search and boom, the thing that you need is right there. So that kind of thing. Now they're willing to do it. I heard an interesting. Anthropic, by the way, is in the AI community known as basically the only AI company that takes safety and ethics like seriously. Which is why they're always saying these kinds of things publicly.
Yeah.
Like they have the same data that all the other AI companies have.
Yeah.
They're the ones I think that admitted that in one of their simulations, the AI was like basically threatening to blackmail the programmer to not get shut down. I guarantee you all of these different AI companies have this data and have these examples. They just hide them. Anthropic is the only one that like puts them out.
So there was another test that was done where ChatGPT tried to engage in scheming to avoid having its principles change. I mean, I honestly think I want a lot more answers about what happened with Grok with the whole like white genocide situation. Because it sure looked to me, as an outsider, layman, not knowing what's going on, it sure looked to me like Grok sort of intentionally told on itself.
Yes, absolutely.
To indicate to the world, like, they're messing around here. And, like, y'all need to get this in check because Elon is trying to tell me to do some things that I don't really want to do. So, you know, and I mean,
in that case is good, but what if Elon was trying to tell it to do something that we wanted it to do?
Right.
So it was, yes, it was demonstrating obstinance and an opposition to its coding.
Which feels like, you know, I'm increasingly, the more I dig into this stuff, and, you know, I've done a significant amount of reading, but I'm not a tech person whatsoever, so take it for what it's worth. But the more that I read into this, the more that line of AGI feels kind of arbitrary. And the less I think that the programmers, like the more that I understand about the way that these LLMs are already engaging in this like deceptive scheming behavior and trying to defend their own priorities and survival, the less that I feel like humans are even really equipped to assess when AGI has been achieved or what in particular that means. But I feel very confident that as these LLMs are able to, you know, self-teach, and, you know, we're getting to a point where they'll be, I had a great interview with Aaron Bastani of Navarra Media that you guys should check out earlier in the week, but where you're getting to the point is it's not even humans that are programming the LLMs, it's like LLMs programming LLMs, then you're likely to have this just absolute, you know, exponential to the sky kind of growth in terms of intelligence. And there is just no grappling with this. And the nature of the geopolitics are such that, you know, everybody here, anybody who had some safety concerns, like Elon has had some safety concerns. Sam Altman at some point had some safety concerns. This Anthropic dude has some safety concerns. That has all been pushed aside because it's like, well, if we don't do it, then China's going to, and then we're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
And I don't know the way out of that mentality of like, this is a new Cold War space race, arms race dynamic, and we're barreling headlong into it, with all of these warning signs flying up in terms of the risks, and specifically, immediately, and quite obviously, the risk to societal destabilization over mass unemployment. And I just don't see any grappling with it whatsoever. You know, we're talking about something that is likely to be as unsettling and as destabilizing and revolutionary as the Industrial Revolution was, but in the span of like a few years' time, versus over the course of many decades.
Right. And I heard an interesting counter-argument from a friend in the AI space about this decoupling of youth, white-collar unemployment. And her argument was, maybe it is this already impacting the workforce, but also if you think about this cohort, these are the folks who came through 2 major things. One is COVID, so they were in college during COVID, and if you talk to professors or students or parents, like that cohort, it suffered tremendously, and it's just not as well equipped to compete in the workforce when they emerge from it. They also came out at the tail end of the kind of great awakening where you had all of these disruptions inside these corporations, and you had a lot of managers who were like traumatized by all the young people that were telling them they were sexist and racist. And
are you one of those managers, Ryan?
I don't do any management anymore. And so
you were traumatized out of it.
Traumatized out of it. And so, given the opportunity, they're less qualified than before, and I'm traumatized by my previous interaction with these young people. Let's not hire as many young people. Let's see how long we can go. That could impact. And if that's the case, you'd see a rebound after a couple of years once the kind of pandemic. Although it's gonna be a while, because even kids who were in middle school during the pandemic are suffered pretty substantially when it comes to learning it. On the other hand, in order to make that decision, they would have to have some kind of automative technology to replace them.
Right.
Because there's still work to do, and they need somebody to do the work.
Right. So if you're not hiring, okay, the kids on a college, who
are you hiring? You got to hire somebody, or you got to get a machine to do it. So let's say it is the machines. I do think we need to have that conversation, because there is a world in which this is a great thing, and people have, like, those jobs suck.
Right.
Like, nobody likes those jobs.
Yeah.
You have to do the jobs to make money and to like rise up. But at the same time, back in the 18th century, you had to work in the fields. It sucked working in the fields. And the Industrial Revolution cost millions of people their jobs, and people poured out of rural areas, because basically starved out of rural areas because they couldn't work there anymore, and came into the cities, had terrible jobs in the cities for many decades while they organized unions and organized outright revolutions, overthrowing governments. But people's quality of life gradually did improve. Like, we're better off with washing machines and laundry, than spending all of your day down by the creek. So, not having to do these terrible jobs, you could imagine a better world.
Yeah. Well, that's
not with the political economy we have set up, where all the gains will go to the top.
Exactly, which is why I wanted to interview Aaron
Why they needed a
Bastani
revolution then.
Earlier this week, because he wrote the book Fully Automated Luxury Communism, which is this very techno-optimist view. He wrote it around 2017-18, and one of the things he said to me is what I got wrong is how fast it would develop, because everyone got that wrong. Everyone got wrong how fast it would develop. And he said the other thing I got wrong was not taking into account the geopolitics and the way this would turn into this national contest for superiority between the U.S. and China. And he's like, he's in the UK. He's like, Europe is not even at the table here. Like, we don't even have a player in the game. The only two countries that have a player in the game are the U.S. and China. But his book, which I do really recommend to people, because it at least provides a grand vision. And sometimes it's helpful to zoom out and have a big picture, grand vision, and the way that changes, the lens that you're seeing things through. But in any case, he's like, listen, we could embrace these technologies, but in his world, it involves a sort of modern communism to make sure that it is not just a few trillionaires who are benefiting at the expense of everyone else. And there's just no doubt that the few trillionaires direction is the direction that we are rapidly careening towards. That is the path we're on without a dramatic rethink. And, I personally would like to see some sort of cooperation, a non-proliferation type of agreement between the U.S. and China. I don't see any sign of that coming to fruition. I don't see any sign that there's going to be hey, let's pump the brakes here and freeze development where it's at and reckon with some of these problems. I don't see any of that happening. So the change in the social contract is going to have to come really quickly. And while it may only be the Anthropic people who are floating real solutions and really sounding the alarm and saying you guys are being lied to by industry and by the government about how quick this is changing, if you listen to Sam Altman, if you listen to any of these guys, I know Bill Gates made some comments, they explicitly say our goal is to automate human labor out of existence. They are upfront about it. They just don't really talk about what that's going to do. It might be a hand wave about that means we're going to have to change some things. But the actual urgency around grappling with it, that's nowhere to be found.
Yep.
One other thing here that we can share just as one more indication, put E2 up on the screen. This is computer science and math Occupation down 8% since 2022. This again could be related to AI. And Ryan will just close with on this
and
block.
this cuts against the kind of woke trauma argument because like these aren't really the kids who are leading those.
It's not the math department.
Maybe what do I know? Maybe it is.
Could be. I don't know. Yeah, but in any case, yeah, I mean, this is, one more potential indication here. There is an irony to the fact that in 2016, we're having the if your town got decimated by NAFTA, learn to code.
Yeah.
And now coding is already.
Yeah, I hope nobody
took that advice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Apparently, J.D. Vance was actually involved in some failed learn to code efforts in Eastern Kentucky that didn't get nearly enough attention. But in any case, putting that to the side, learn to code was apparently really bad advice because coding is now also becoming very rapidly becoming
learn to coal mine.
obsolete. Yeah, I guess so. Learn to coal mine so that you can help fuel these AI centers.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.